Welcome back to Zodiac Wars. The dark side of Aquarius. What is the dark side of Aquarius? I am an Aquarius and I am about to drag myself through the mud. I am old enough and mature enough to realize what my toxic traits are in most Aquarius that I know. First of all, Aquarius are the polar opposite of Leos, which means that we actually have a lot in common with Leos. Leos are known to be the center of attention, craving attention, needing constant validation, very competitive, very dominant, leaders, outspoken, opinionated. And they just, some of them are really aggressive, physically aggressive, mentally aggressive, emotionally aggressive, just aggressive. And Aquarius are known to be like the humanitarian, selfless, egoless. Like Leo has the ego and we don't have the ego. However, we do have an ego. It's just an intellectual, know-it-all, I know everything ego. And whether that Aquarius is more introverted or extroverted, trust and believe that they think they know everything. Our number one toxic trait is that we think we know everything. And the younger we are, the more convinced we are that we know everything. It's ironic, right? It's kind of like how teenagers think they know everything. Well, Aquarius is perpetually stuck in that state almost for the rest of their lives until they have an epiphany, during midlife. And life has humbled them enough to remind them that they actually don't know everything. It takes a lot of humbling experience to get an Aquarius down to earth like that, on that level, but it can and does happen. I am living proof. Now, I do tend to cut off people while they're talking because I think I know everything. I think I'm entitled to cut somebody off in a damn conversation. Smash the like button if you know an annoying Aquarius who cuts people off while they're talking because they're so anxious to give their point of view, because their point of view is so interesting. Their point of view is so knowledgeable. Of course, what you have to say doesn't really matter. What we have to say is better, smarter, brighter, more researched. Just better than what you have to say. Our minds work better than yours. We're unique. Aquarius are very unique. We're intellectually unique. We stand out. Doesn't that sound a lot like Leo, but in an inside out kind of way? Like, we pride ourselves on being super smart and being able to read a room and be able to read people and be able to find the answer the quickest. Like, we're like Jeopardy snobs. Like, if we go on a show like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, like, we would literally be shocked if we didn't get all the answers right. We think we're that smart and we're actually not that smart. It's just that we think we are very smart. So us being so confident and thinking that we're smart makes other zodiac signs think that we are one of the smartest. And we're not. We're just attached to our ego like our polar opposite sign, Leo. And we're attached to believing that we are intellectually superior. Aquarius do believe that they are the smartest sign in the zodiac. And I don't even believe that's true. I've met people from other zodiac signs who are far more intelligent than me. And they've humbled me, even though I had too much pride. That's the Leo in me. I had too much pride to admit that they were actually right. I would hold on to my convictions and my opinions no matter what, even though I knew in my heart of hearts they were right. And that is the stubborn property of being an Aquarius. Like, we are just stubborn. In our polar opposite sign, Leo is also stubborn. We are fixed signs, fixated on what we think is right, fixating on what we're going to do, just very stubborn and stuck in our ways. We do not like change. Change is kind of scary. Unless we're the one facilitating the change, then the change is, absolutely necessary. But if we're not the ones facilitating the change, then the change is grueling. We're going to complain about it. We're going to internalize it, and we are going to resist it as much as we can. being a stubborn sign means being that you just don't consider other people's feelings. You don't consider other people's opinions, their knowledge, what they have to bring to the table. You don't consider their individuality. And Aquarius are supposed to consider everyone's individuality, right? I think to be a fixed sign, we have the higher capacity to do that. I mean, there's other fixed signs that won't ever consider anyone's individuality, and I think that we're probably better at that than them. However, it's still not good. That's definitely a toxic trait. Aquarius are a lot like Sagittarius in a way that, and I have best friends who are Sagittarius because we're just very blunt. We don't have a filter, so it makes us less digestible. When people come across Aquarius and Sagittarius, we come off as very harsh. We're not very charming people, and that is to our detriment. And that is why a lot of Aquarius hate water signs, because water signs, Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces, are very smooth, very charismatic. And even though they might feel some type of way about you, they present that in a way that just appears to be more digestible, more palpable to people. So people will accept a water sign's criticism because of the way they present it versus an Aquarius or Sagittarius's criticism because it comes off as very heartless. And that's one of the biggest things I had to learn. Like a lot of people, if you look at my comment sections of my videos, and this is probably a part of me that probably won't ever change. It's just who I am. I have definitely tried to sugarcoat my approaches to things. As you see my videos start to change and evolve, and I try to take a softer approach, but I am a masculine sign, unfortunately. So I'm a woman, but I'm a masculine zodiac sign. Aquarius is masculine, and I'm going to have a lot of traits that are distasteful to people. Bluntness and having no filter is definitely one of them. I have gotten in trouble with my mouth more than a few times in relationships, in professional settings, volunteering with my family, both immediate and distant family. It's not always good to tell the truth in a way that's too matter-of-factly. Like you have to start out with something. When you're going to criticize someone, dear Aquarius, just start out with, hey, I really like what we have going on. I think you're one of the most amazing people I've ever met. You're so kind. But there is one issue that I had when you said this or did that. Not just going for the throat and saying, you mother effer, you did this, and this is how I feel about this. That's the ego behind that. That's making you so convicted and so aggressive in your approach to conversations. It's just like, who watches the Real Housewives of Atlanta? Kenya Moore is an Aquarius, and I believe Marlo is an Aquarius. And they both have like very harsh ways of entering into conflict or pointing things out that bother them or hurt them. They don't come from a vulnerable standpoint. And that's what Aquarius has to learn from Libra, their other air sign partner. And they can also learn that from all three water signs, Scorpio, Cancer, and Pisces. So if you are continuously attracting water signs, the universe is just trying to balance you out so that you can learn something from them, because they are going to point out more than anybody else how your mouth is a problem, how harshly you deliver things is a problem. Okay. Fire signs will also do it, but not to the extent, because they seem to be a little bit more, less filtered than water signs. But to really polish up the way you think, don't think so black and white. It's not good and evil. There's something in between as well. There's some gray area that Aquarius need to learn how to live in. Okay, consider both sides, and being in the middle is not being indecisive or riding the fence. Sometimes life is just like that. And it's not that a person is terrible. It's just that that person's not the right person for you. So you don't have to verbally attack them. You can just say that's not the right person for you. Now, some Aquarius might mature faster than others due to how they were raised, their upbringing, their environment. But if an Aquarius, like I'm an Aquarius that grew up with two Gemini parents. Everything that we thought, we said it. There was no filter in my household. My mom and dad would go at it without any filters, like just didn't have any consideration for who was listening, their children, and just said what was ever was on their toxic little minds. And although I love my parents very much, I learned some things about, my friend Gemini, my fellow air sign Gemini, that is a lot like Aquarius as well. Just the no filter, not very kind when you say things, not considering other people's feelings because of the ego behind that. See, Gemini is a child of a zodiac, and children don't usually have a filter because they haven't learned proper conversational etiquette yet. Gemini will cut you off just like an Aquarius will. If you ever listen to a Gemini and Aquarius talk, they're just cutting each other off the whole time. But you know what? You know why they're compatible? Because they understand why the other one is cutting them off. An eagerness to get your point across because your ego is telling you that you have something better to say. Consider that if you're a person that cuts someone off. You might have a strong air sign placement or Sagittarius placement. Donald Trump was a Gemini with a Sagittarius moon. And look at how blunt he was. People hated the way he talked. Some people love it, some people hate it, but I think most people hated him. So Aquarius toxic trait is definitely how they communicate. It's not healthy. When an Aquarius tries to verbalize their emotions, it's typically not healthy. It comes out very warped, very black and white, very harsh. You can lose some really good people in your life, Aquarius, with your mouth. You really can. Check yourself. And check yourself today. Some other really toxic traits of Aquarius is detachment. The detachment where you could literally just not talk to somebody for 48 hours and still love them very much, but just don't feel the need to connect with them because you're doing 50 other things. You're not cheating. You're not even looking at other people. You're not entertaining people who send you DMs. You're not entertaining exes. You're just, saving the world, working, sleeping, doodling, daydreaming. Aquarius, like Pisces, daydream a lot. That's another toxic trait. We tend to daydream more than we do things, and we really need to have a plan of action, set in stone so we can accomplish some of the great things that we think about, because we do have some great ideas. Just manifesting them and taking the necessary steps and doing the necessary work. We're a lot like Pisces in that aspect where we kind of procrastinate. So Aquarius need to focus. The detachment is part of a distraction or a laziness that all Aquarius have. Like a toxic trait of Aquarius is being lazy. Like we'll do what's necessary to survive, but to really be really super ambitious about something, that's our polar opposite. Leo signs, that's their job. We just want to express our opinions and pour out whatever information that we have. We're the water bearers, right? And we feel satisfied in our life just sharing our intellectual thoughts. We don't have to really put them in a book. We don't have to put them in a blog. We don't have to monetize them at all. We're just happy just telling them to random people online or YouTube videos. We don't feel a real sense of drive to monetize things or to be that ambitious. Now, there are some Aquarius with some other placements that are super ambitious. I think January Aquarius are a lot more ambitious than February Aquarius because of that Capricorn Saturn influence and drive for ambition, power, fame, and money. Oprah Winfrey is a great example of that. She's a January Aquarius. So you have to If you're a February Aquarius, really focus and try to manifest some of the great ideas you come up with. Another toxic trait of Aquarius is not allowing other people to be themselves or to feel what they feel. Like, Aquarius really gets super in their feelings when somebody feels differently than they feel. Like, if your partner feels that you're not giving them enough time because you're so damn detached all the time, doing God knows what, you think that it's highly inappropriate and controlling for your partner to tell you that you're distant and you're boring and you're detached and you don't seem to care about their feelings. You think that that is controlling behavior, and it's abusive. You're quick to call somebody abusive, controlling, and a narcissist, but your freedom that you want and crave all the time needs to be communicated to others in a healthy way so they understand you. Don't get defensive. Try to explain to them why you need freedom to think and freedom to be alone, and how you switch from extroverted to introverted, kind of like Pisces. You need to explain to people better your nature so that they aren't surprised when you flip-flop on them like that. They're not surprised at all. And communicate that in a loving way to them that helps them understand and accept that, instead of verbally attacking them or accusing them of being abusive and controlling when they approach you with what they're dissatisfied about in the relationship. It's that ego again. Aquarius, your best bet is death to the ego. Just kill that ego. Because once you kill that ego, you're going to be a lot more personable in your relationships, and people are going to just like you more, because you're going to be more vulnerable and more aware of how you communicate your feelings. Another toxic trait about Aquarius is unpredictability and sudden rage and violence, or just verbal abuse. So Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, the planet of unpredictable things, like, the planet of lightning, sudden storms. It's just a really chaotic planet where you cannot predict the weather. And Aquarius mimic their planet a lot, where Aquarius can explode out of nowhere on you, just snap on you and verbally rip you apart. And they will say things to you that will scathe your soul. I mean, if you think Scorpio is bad, Aquarius is like a demon when they're upset. Aquarius, you need to learn how to regulate your anger. Anger management is a great thing. I think all Aquarius should enroll in. It'll be a great class for you. And I don't care what you think. Y'all are mad. When y'all are mad, you throw things. You can strike or hit somebody. You can cheat on them. You know what I'm saying? Go behind their back and do some terrible things or say some terrible things to them. Like, the ego is what makes you retaliate so hard and make you feel like you're justified in screaming at someone and throwing things and acting a damn fool. No, you're not. No, you're not. Now, this is the very toxic Aquarius that go this route. I know a lot of very healed Aquarius that would never throw anything or hit anybody or cheat or do anything like that. But let me tell you, I'm talking about the bottom of the barrel, the gutter Aquarius, okay? So Aquarius can have many toxic traits. I think that they can be the type of narcissist that wants attention and validation from doing humanitarian efforts. Like, there are Aquarius who do good things just to get acknowledged for them. They'll start charitable organizations, volunteer all their time for the charity that they love and are passionate about. And then they'll post it all over social media just for validation and attention from others. That's that ego that Aquarius and Leo have in common. They have that, they want attention, but they want it from different things. Leo's more like me for what I look like and my appearance. Aquarius is more like me for what I do for others. like me for my humanitarian efforts. So you really got to watch that as an Aquarius. And if you know any toxic Aquarius who brag about everything they do for the world, and you'll notice the ones that aren't doing it out of genuine love and interest for those causes, they'll get mad when they don't get attention for doing humanitarian efforts, or they'll just stop doing it because it's not giving them the attention that they want. So Aquarius are egomaniacs. That is their toxic trait. Another really terrible thing about Aquarius people is they have an inability to connect with their children in a way that's appropriate for children. Like they're very, like, a lot of Aquarius mothers are like, they treat their toddlers like their toddlers are 10 years old. They treat their 10-year-olds like they're 20-year-olds. They talk to them in a way like they're adults. Like a lot of Aquarius women talk to their 3-year-old children like they're adults, like they can understand that. It's very rare that you see an Aquarius talk like, oh, hi, little Timmy, how are you? Give me a hug. Give mommy big hugs. No. Aquarius are like, hey, give me a hug. Like, like it's just really, I don't know, very bitter, very dry. You could learn a lot from water signs, Aquarius. Learn how to sugarcoat things. If you can't vibe with a water sign, ask your air sign Libra friend. Libras are great with children, and they can go down to the child's level to communicate with them, and it's so cute and so sweet. I'm not a huge fan of Kim Kardashian, but she's a Libra, and the way she talks to little Shy, her baby Shy, is just so cute. I just love it, and I'm just like, God, I can't remember because my daughter is 11 now, but I'm like, was I like that with my baby? Did my baby soften my hard Aquarian exterior, my hardcore, and I just love mothers who can really go on their kids' level and really just sit with them in that childlike, innocent, beautiful energy. And a lot of Aquarius are criticized as parents for not having the ability to do that. And it affects the children because the children will have this disconnect with their Aquarius parent that their parent didn't really connect with them on an emotional level. They only connected them on a logical level. Like the Aquarius will teach their kids everything and discipline them. But how about just having fun, being in the moment, and not making every moment a teachable moment? How about that, Aquarius? You don't need to teach a lesson every time you're with your children. And this goes for your relationships too. You don't have the authority to try to teach your man or your woman something every time you guys are interacting. You want to give them a fun fact or tell them what they're doing wrong and they should do it this way. And Aquarius, no. And that comes to my last point about the toxicity of Aquarius people. Aquarius are controlling. I know, right? Who would think these kind humanitarian people who just want to be your friend, that honor friendship so much. Aquarius honor friendship so much that they don't really have any really close friends. They just have, companions to hang out with every now and then, because their expectations for friendship are so unrealistically high that they get exhausted by their own expectations and don't even pursue people and get close to them to be a long-term friend. That's really sad. It's like you're psyching yourself out. Get over yourself, Aquarius, please. And I'm telling myself this as I'm telling you guys, because again, I'm an Aquarius. And I had to learn these lessons so y'all don't have to learn them. And I had to make this video so the poor people who love Aquarius and deal with Aquarius know their pathology. You guys make sure you share this video with an Aquarius today. So, okay, let's get back to the controlling part, the last point of this video. Aquarius want to control the way you think. They want to control the way you react to whatever they say or do. They want to control the agenda and the itinerary when you go on a trip. They want to plan all these things and do all this stuff. They just want to be in control, especially they want to control how other people think. It's kind of weird. Like Aquarius just won't accept that somebody thinks completely different than them when they're in their toxic traits, when they're in their dark shadow energy. They want you to think like them. And if you don't, like if they tell you their opinion and you don't agree with them, like they take that shit personal and start arguing with you about it. It might even turn into a physical altercation. I don't know. They might ghost you. They might never talk to you again because you had a strong opinion too, but it was different from theirs. And they're always right. They want to control the way you think. It's very sinister if you really think about it. Sadistic. Why do you want to control the way people think, Aquarius? But you're supposed to be so loving and accepting of everybody and their unique characteristics, right? But Aquarius toxic trait is they are curious about various different subjects, various different people, religions, ideologies, right? But them actually really accepting someone in their life who thinks differently from them is very hard for them to do. Very hard. It's because they're fixed and very stubborn. And it's because of that ego that they share with their polar opposite sign, Leo. That ego ain't no joke. If you are dealing with a toxic Aquarius who is over-identified in their ego, they always got to be right. They want to control the way you think. But you can't, don't even ever try to control them. You cannot. Don't tell them what to wear, what to think, what to be like, where to go, what movie to watch, what series to watch, what music to listen to, what food you should order off the menu. Don't tell them nothing, because as soon as you try to tell them anything, if you're just trying to be nice and make a suggestion, they are going to confuse you of being controlling, and they're going to project all their toxic traits onto you. Aquarius are very manipulative. They're not water signs, but they know how to manipulate emotions. They know how to manipulate people, press people's buttons. They know how to deflect. They can switch an entire argument onto the other person because they're so gifted in manipulation. They can make you feel like the bad guy when they've done everything bad. Don't underestimate the Aquarius. They're like wolves in sheep clothing. And they have a lot of people wrapped around their finger because of just their superior manipulation tactics that they've thought long and hard about. I mean, they've documented them. They've written them down, strategies that they use. They're mentalists, so they're always thinking about how they can warp, change, or control someone else mentally, okay? So be careful out there if y'all dealing with us, Aquarius. We got Aquarius, typically find love later in life. Like, we're just one of those signs that mentally and emotionally mature very slow. If you know an Aquarius and who's been in a relationship for 20 years and they're like, let's say they got married when they were 20 and they're 40 now and they're still married. I don't know what other placements they have, but I'm telling you that they're like a unicorn. Most Aquarius don't even get married till they're 40. They don't even learn how to be in a relationship successfully with another person intimately until they're about 40, 45 years old. Because it takes us like 40 years our planet 40 years to go around the sun. Uranus takes forever to go around the sun. So I think people who have planets that they're ruled by that take forever to go around the sun are just very slow to emotionally mature. That's me. I am her. That is me. Aquarius are also very sensitive. Anybody with a big ass ego like Leo and Aquarius are hypersensitive, but they act like nothing bothers them. And they got that act so well, they got it down so well that you believe them. People really think that they're not sensitive. People really think that the daggers they throw don't penetrate, Leo and Aquarius, and they definitely do, and they do deeper than they do other signs. Aquarius have a big intellectual ego, a know-it-all ego, a I'm that girl ego, or I'm that dude ego. And Aquarius, when someone insults them or covertly throws a microaggression at them or passive aggressive towards them, Aquarius, take that shit super personal. Don't let them fool you. We are very sensitive and we typically crave approval and validation. And, you know, a Libra told me this once. A Libra friend of mine passed away. May she rest in peace. She lost her battle with cancer, but I'll never forget. She told me she would always put me in my place. She would always just read me accurately, probably more accurately than anybody else I've ever met. And one day she said, you know what, Jay? You are super hungry for the approval of other people. You just want their validation. You're really seeking approval from other people. And I was just like, damn. But she said it so calmly and so nicely. And it was just like, you're right. Why is that? What is it about me? Then I started studying astrology and I realized that I am on the same pole as Leo, and Leo is number one in seeking approval and validation and praise from others. So it is unfortunate that I share that tragedy with Leo. And I'm going to die on that cross probably, because even at my age now, it's even hard for me to stop secretly wanting that validation. And with my ego, I can't tell people that I want that approval, praise, and acceptance from them. I can't tell them that would crush my ego, and my ego always has to be intact. How do I escape this horrible fate if I'm an Aquarius and my North Node is Leo? I can't. Is it just the way it is? Maybe it's just the way it is, but I'm learning to be more vulnerable. I would recommend that Aquarius that have this issue go to therapy and learn how to be more vulnerable and learn how to tell people in a loving way without sounding desperate or stupid that you really do value their opinion of you, especially if you love them. You know, not just anybody, not just any random stranger. You can give a damn what they think, right? But just telling your loved ones that their opinions do matter. Their appreciation and praise of you sometimes when you do good things and you deserve it does matter. The fact that they accept you wholeheartedly for who you are does matter, because in the end, Aquarius feels like outcasts. We're on the only planet that spins on its side. Uranus is interesting that way, that it orbits totally different from any other planet. So we want people deep down inside to just accept that we're different and totally accept that. And the two signs that have been able to do that for me personally, or the three signs, are Libra, Sagittarius, and Scorpio. I know they're like all the same in a row. It's just something about that part of the calendar that I feel they resonate with me. Now Scorpio will connect with me and accept me, but then when I turn on them or when I do something that they don't like, they'll throw that in my face. Sagittarius hardly ever does that for me. They treat me like I'm a little kid who's growing and learning, and they don't even find the energy to reprimand Aquarius. And that's why we love them so much. That big Jupiter love, you know what Trey Songz said, y'all, Jupiter love. And then Libra having that Venus love, that kind teacher. Libra is a very kind, balanced teacher. Shout out to all my Libras out there who teach or are psychologists or therapists. You guys are needed in the world. I think when it comes to relationships, because symbolically you rule relationships as Libras, you really can give a lot of people some good insight on relationships. So that is all for my toxic traits for Aquarius. Egomaniacs, oversensitive, but try to act like they're not. Detached, and can make them irresponsible and not match the energy and the efforts of their partners. It's unintentional though, but it's still not good. Just very prideful. You think you know everything. I think you cut people off too easily and then you regret it instantly. Aquarius will circle around the block and go back, because in their hearts of hearts, when they cut somebody off for not allowing that person to be a human being who makes mistakes, the overcritical Aquarius, kind of like their counterpart Virgo. They go back because they know that they should have been a little bit more balanced in their thinking. Okay, so Aquarius are also very toxic because I just lost my train of thought. Oh, we're inconsistent. Aquarius are inconsistent. If you look at our planet, our ruling planet Uranus, that planet is the most inconsistent, weirdest planet in the galaxy. Like, it spins on its side. It rains diamonds. Sounds beautiful, actually, but it's just weird. And it also has like all this lightning and weird weather every 5 minutes that no one, like I mentioned earlier, could ever predict. It's very unpredictable. And unpredictable spirits don't live in consistency, right? It's an inconsistent planet with inconsistent weather planets, and that's kind of like how the moods and actions of Aquarius are. That's why a lot of Aquarius and Pisces, they get confused. People get confused about Aquarius and Pisces because they have a lot of similarities, actually, because Aquarius tend to hate standard things. They don't like systems. They don't like being put into a box and told this is what you are to do today. Like, they don't like agendas. They don't like curriculums. They just don't like systems at all. And you know, getting up, going to work, working out, eating the same thing every week, this will slowly kill an Aquarius, like literally. A slow, torturous death. Aquarius constantly have to mix things up in their lives, and this can get really annoying to their partners because the partners, especially, I used to date a Scorpio, and he was very systematic about things, almost like he was on the autism spectrum, because he was just like so efficient and effective in his patterns every day and his consistency on what he eats and what he does. And for me, I'm like, no, I don't like lifestyles. I like trends. I like to go on the keto diet for 6 months and then be a vegan for 6 months and then go back to regular eating after that. I'd like to adopt an animal for a year and then give it back to the Humane Society after that, and then maybe get a snake or some type of reptile. I like to read mafia books. I like to read them all. Like, I'll read themed book titles. Like, I'll read books for like 6-7 months all about the U.S. mafia, Italian families, whatever. And then I'll switch it up and read about vampires for 8 months. I get fixated on one thing for like 6 to 8 months, and then I have to switch it up completely and probably do the opposite. Sounds like a Pisces almost, and I really don't like Pisces very much. It's just a reflection of me not liking myself, because I hate the part of myself that can't be consistent. Consistency is so boring to Aquarius. Don't take it personal. I think some Pisces are intentionally inconsistent to confuse people because they like the drama. But Aquarius, we don't get mad at us. We really can't help it. We really are impulsive that way. Like our ruling planet Uranus, like we have to switch it up infrequently, and that can deter us from a lot of goals. Aquarius are not really goal setters in that sense. Our toxic trait is that we'll have a goal, we'll somewhat reach it and then get over it really fast and then create another goal. It's kind of like we just are born with ADHD. I don't know, but it's very difficult for me to commit to something for a very long time, which basically goes hand in hand with what I said earlier about Aquarius being in long-term relationships. That relationship's going to go through several ups and downs, twists and turns, and the plot twist might be the Aquarius wants monogamy, then they want polygamy, then they want an open relationship, then they want to separate for a few years so they can travel the world, then they want to come back and redo their vows and be like this holy Christian, really tight family knit couple. Then after that, they want a divorce. Like, it's really sad, but that's our toxic trait. We are not consistent people. We rebel against consistency. But if you really think about it, are humans supposed to live like robots in these systems and be consistent all the time about everything? Is that really our true nature as human beings? I don't know. But I don't think so, not as an Aquarius, not in my realm of existence. I will say that I am learning to be more consistent, especially when it comes to trying to accomplish goals. No matter how boring it gets, I try to grit it out. I try to hammer it out and accomplish it before switching to something else completely different. So those are the toxic traits of Aquarius. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Make sure you guys like this video and subscribe. Thanks so much for listening.